It's time to pull those belts tight, race fans. The front stretch is coming at you, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Dirk Houston.
Well, good morning to you, race fans, and welcome to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. Fast-paced, white-knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs. Get over to Joe's Karting today. Do yourself right with a little indoor kart racing. Say a big thank you to Joe's Karting. Once again, on Tuesday nights, they do their Slick Track Series, presented by Malvern Bank. If you missed the first two, don't worry. Week 3, you could still get in, and you've still got a good opportunity at competing for the big prizes. Find out more at joeskarting.com. Again, karting with a K. Today's race, we got a big one lined up for you, and it is a packed, absolutely packed day of conversation. We're going to recap the race at Dover, talk about who's punched their ticket into the next round. We'll sit down with modified track champion at Eagle Raceway, Anthony Roth. And by the way, this was before he had an issue on the racetrack, so we won't be discussing any of that.
His latest issue on the racetrack.
So we talked to Anthony at Quaker Steak and Lube a couple of weeks back about his track championship. In turn number 3, we're going to sit down with NASCAR driver of the number 88 at Hendrick Motorsports. That's Alex Bowman. And then in turn number 4, Xfinity Series driver for Richard Childress Racing, Tyler Reddick, will join us. And he is also going to be the guy that is going to be taking over Richard Childress Racing in 2019 in the number 8 Cup Series car. So we'll talk to him about all of that. Plus, well, there's really no previewing for Dega you need to do other than they're going to go really fast. They're going to go in a big 3-wide line, and there's going to be a big one.
And Kyle Larson's going to drive like a madman.
Let's talk about what happened at Dover International Speedway. Unfortunately, once again, Dirk, I had prior obligations. I was at Quaker State doing a cornhole tournament, so I was watching on my laptop, watching lap times. And, boy, let me tell you, that's just fun to watch that.
There was a lot of racing. And as always, the track changed over the course of the day, and Kyle Larson was set up to run fast at the end and not quite so fast earlier. I mean, I don't think he was ever out of the top 5 except for maybe rotations on green flag pit stops.
Yeah.
And you had him, you had Martin Truex, you had Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin. Hamlin came on early, very early in the 3rd stage, and said his motor was going away. He thought he was blowing up. He goes, it's still pulling. And I don't remember who it was, maybe Burton said, well, right now he's turning the fastest laps on the track. So
it's funny how they do that, right?
We'll see. Well, it's always been in dirt track racing and short track racing. It's just kind of a thing that they run the fastest before they blow.
Oh, yeah.
But his stayed together, and they were saying, is it going to stay together another 120 laps? And it did. I think he ended up 5th, 6th, something like that.
Yep, 5th.
But he had 200-plus laps led. Is that about what it was?
218.
Yep.
Led 4 different times, 1 stage 1, 3rd in stage 2, 218 total laps.
And Martin Truex led some laps, and then Kyle Larson had to lead a little over 100.
Buck 54.
Really? 150?
Yeah, he led quite a bit. I want to go back to Denny Hamlin. You were talking about him. He talked about this week how he was a little frustrated with Joey Logano. Sit down, nobody be surprised by this. Denny Hamlin is frustrated by Joey Logano and said that he felt like being, 20-some laps down at the time, 20-plus?
23, 24 laps down, 22.
That he should have just gotten out of the way, and apparently Denny Hamlin hasn't been paying attention to the way Joey Logano and the guys run at Penske Motorsports.
Right. I mean, that's a fact.
And this is one of those that I'm not surprised at any of this. I know as Denny, he feels like he lost that race or lost the opportunity to win that race because Joey didn't let him go by, but there's not a lot of drivers in the sport that are going to do that, especially when you're in the playoffs.
Well, 22 laps down, and the odds of him moving up significantly in the standings for the race were very, very, very slim. He should have had the courtesy that he would expect if he was the leader of that race. I'm on Denny Hamlin's side in this one. If he's 2 laps down, no.
Yeah.
No, you're racing. But I think 8 cars ended up on the lead lap at the end of this race.
To your point, the next point position would have been Garrett Smithley, who was 2 laps ahead of Joey Logano. So, and the guy behind it to lose a point would have been Ryan Blaney, who was 75 laps down from Joey. So there was no chance of him. There was little chance of him gaining a point, and very little chance of him losing a point.
Right. I mean, just common courtesy. at that far down, you let the leader go by. And you would expect that if you were leading, and he will expect it. But I tell you, one car he's not going to get it from if it comes to that.
Is going to be the 11. But this is what I love about racing is that the opinion of the driver changes on their circumstance. Joey will say to this day, nope, it's my job to race every single lap. But if Joey is in the flip position, he's just as frustrated.
Exactly.
And it's funny to me because there's people that are attacking these guys left and right, and this is nothing more than situational opinion.
You know, I guarantee you if it would have been the 2 or the 12 trying to pass him on the lead lap and he was 22 laps down, he'd have pulled so far over, he might have just pitted.
He might have pulled a Kyle Busch and pitted and ended the race early.
I mean, and he might have pitted for another Ford. He might have moved over for Harvick or Boyer or somebody, but he wasn't going to move over for a Toyota.
You mentioned Martin Truex Jr. leading 15 laps on the day. Had a very strong car, ran second most of the day, finished second in stage 1, won stage 2. But Kyle Larson came on strong late in that race, and when Larson took the lead, I think they went through green flag runs. I think Truex only managed to shave 2 seconds off the lap, off the time in that green flag transition. I think Larson came in with a 6-second advantage. He came out with a 4-second advantage.
Yeah,
something to that case.
I think Larson, when he got out front, I don't think he beat the car. I think he tried to save the car until the last 30 or 40 laps because, you know, he wasn't sure where he was going to be, and I think it really showed at the end because he was real fast at the end. I mean, they'd get in traffic. He could drive high. He could drive low.
Yeah.
He had his full complement of brakes on the car. He could do whatever he wanted to do with that car, and that was because he nursed it all day, and he did the most incredible burnout at the end. He took the steering wheel off and held it out the window and did his burnout.
That is
holding
awesome.
the knob with his right hand.
That is pretty awesome.
Steering wheel off.
And, you know, you could really see it. Well, again, I was sitting here watching it on NASCARlive.com on the live scoring and timing, and that the beginning of that final green flag run where it was only a 4-second advantage, I think Martin might have trimmed it down to maybe a 2-second advantage, and it was only about 3/10 a lap. It was just little bits he was chucking away at it. And then all of a sudden, Larson turned it on like you talked about. He'd saved enough at the end where he was able to push it.
He was chewing it up when Larson got into traffic.
Okay.
He would eat into it. And once Larson had cleared 3 or 4 cars, then he'd open it back up because Martin was having a fight coming through those 3 or 4 cars. So that happened several times.
Yeah.
A 4-second lead down to 2.5, 2 3/4 second, and then it opened back up to 4.
So Kyle Larson ends up picking up the win. Martin Truex Jr. brings it home second. Alex Bowman, who's going to join us on the show in turn number 3, comes home in 3rd place. Kevin Harvick, who looked like he was going to be a contender for the day, ended up finishing 4th on the day, and Denny Hamlin is relegated to a 5th-place finish. Kyle Busch, who needed a bounce-back race, finished 6th on the day. Matt DiBenedetto in 7th, Jimmy Johnson in 8th, Kurt Busch in 9th, and Clint Boyer, who is one of your playoff contenders, nice top 10 finish for him. He also finished 10th in Stage 2. So he got a couple of extra points for this round. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming up in turn number 2, Anthony Roth, Eagle Raceway track champion, is going to join us. Then we're going to sit down with Alex Bowman, driver of the number 88 at Hendrick Motorsports. And in turn 4, Tyler Reddick, newly appointed driver of the number 8 at Richard Childress Racing. In 2020, in the number 8 car, will join us to talk about his defending his Xfinity Series championship, moving on to Kansas, and moving on to the final races in 2019. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
Red Oak Fabrication is excited to announce they're expanding their powder coating business, which means quicker turnaround times at the same great price. Get all the benefits of a powder-coated chassis for just $275 for a bare frame. Ask Jordan about special pricing for large and small projects today. Email Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com. Located at the intersection of Highway 34 and 48 in Red Oak, Iowa, or at redoakfabrication.com. A beautiful and durable service is just down the road.
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. Joe'sKarting.com for more information.
The family with the 8-foot stainless grill is in. Bachelorettes hooting at the drivers are in. The tightwad dad doing a free parking fist bump.
Oh, yeah.
He's in. Nana with 6 speeding tickets? She's in. Cornhole aficionados and NASCAR newbies, in and in. The Hollywood Casino 400 NASCAR playoff race at Kansas Speedway, Sunday, October 20th. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
We're hooked up in turn 2 and still showing the green flag on the front stretch.
Welcome back to the front stretch, rolling into yet another Red Oak Fabrication interview. Get your chassis powder coated for just $275. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Red Oak, Iowa is just too far away. But is it too far away for $275? The great modified driver, Josh Most, always sends his chassis over to Red Oak Fabrication, and so can you. On the intersection of Highway 34 and Highway 48 in Red Oak, Iowa, you can get more information about what Red Oak Fabrication could do for you at redoakfabrication.com. Get a free estimate on what it's going to cost you to get your chassis powder coated. Jordan F. at redoakfabrication.com. Okay. Anthony Roth joining us, driver of the number 60, the 4th, and I still haven't quite gotten that down as habit because I still, for some reason, still call you Anthony Roth, driver of the number 60 IV.
Yeah.
But you're the 4th generation racer, which you described to us in detail last time you were on the show.
Yeah, I did. And you're not the only one who says 60 IV. I've heard 601V, 601 IV. I've heard it all.
It's kind of interesting to see what shows up on the score sheet when we're sitting up in the booth and we're reading through our sheets. Because sometimes it doesn't even have, just like the basic information. So it's a little frustrating at times.
Right. And actually last week at McCool Junction, I showed up there on Saturday and I signed into 64 because technically that's what it is, a 60 the 4th. So
right.
That threw everybody for a loop because I didn't have a name on there or anything else. So they couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
Hell of a year for you as you had last year. Last year, I think you won just about everything and pissed off just about everything because you beat them. And I really do think my favorite saying in dirt racing is he's got to be cheating because I'm cheating and he beat me. And you beat a lot of guys last year.
Right, I did. Last year was really good. This year quite didn't get to that, but it was very close. This year we raced against Jordan Grabowski a lot more than we did last year, so it was a little bit more.
And that was kind of your goal this year. You kind of wanted to go and beat him wherever he wanted.
I did. I wanted to go where he was, and I wanted to make myself better and race against him each and every week. It was going to make myself better. Granted, I beat him a couple times here and there. I got a lot of seconds to him, but it taught me a lot, and we'll come out swinging good next year.
That's the biggest thing is that, there's the old saying that says if you're going to beat the best, you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best. And that's such an easy thing to look at and say, well, that's a cute little saying, but that really is the way in dirt track. If you're going to be the best, you have got to race against the best, learn what they're doing, and then find a way to be better than them.
Exactly. And race against Jordan, you're going to get that every time. And as my dad would say, yep, you're just the second fastest in Nebraska, aren't you?
First in class.
First in class, second fastest.
But you raise your game to compete at the level you're competing at.
Exactly. If I wouldn't race against Jordan, I keep going to like McCool and stuff like that. Yeah, I can win each and every week there. But then when I go to race against Jordan, I'm not going to be right on his rear bumper like I was this year a lot of the races, if not in front of him. A lot of the times this year, it was back and forth. Whoever made it to the front first was going to win that race.
And you were really pretty good at that, getting out of that 12-hole. We talk about the 12-hole, meaning the points leader is usually starting back in the 6th row. The fastest 12 cars are inverted. And you guys that we're talking to on the show this weekend are back in that 6th row quite often.
Oh, each and every week. I don't remember the last time I started like 9th or 10th. It was always 11th or 12th each and every week.
Yeah.
And, I just get through the heat race. I didn't necessarily win the heat race each week. It's like as long as I get top 3 or 4, I make invert. I'm starting 12th.
Yeah.
And our work was cut out for us every week.
It's easier, in my opinion, feel free to correct me, to start in the 12th hole for a modified than a lot of other classes because I think the modifieds through the field is a genuinely cleaner class. The guys that can hold their line a lot better. It's not saying that it's easier, but it's a little less squirrely.
Yeah, you know the guys that are going to be squirrely. You get them once in a while that start up front, but for the majority of the part, you know who's going to hold their line, who's going to get in the way, who's going to get out of your way. A lot of times nobody gets out of your way. You just got to make the right move at the right time.
And we talked with Gunnar about that. The intensity level, you got to be 110% for all 20 laps. Otherwise, you're backing up.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. You can't take a lap off. I mean, especially racing like Eagle, it seems like any of the top 10 guys can win there. So you got to be on your A game each and every week, and you got to just go. If there's a little gap, you got to shoot it, and you got to trust your car, and you guys got to know you're going to clear them.
Research can be very important in a modified class because it is tough to pass at speed. It's tough to find your way around a guy from time to time. And restarts, you can pick up those valuable spots that will gain you the points you need to lock in that championship.
And that's for sure. You can. It's harder at Eagle because it's single file. A lot of other places are double file, so you can get a better start than the inside row or outside row or vice versa. And it's just tough, especially with the crate motor racing now. Everyone's pretty even, so you got to find that extra edge to get around them.
Are you running a crate or are you running an open?
I'm on a crate. The funny thing is everyone thinks I have a cheated up crate, so the joke around the shop is, oh, yeah, we'll take our Mullins crate and we're going to go here, go there. And it's like, it's just a Speedway crate motor. I run it 25 nights and I give it back.
Obviously, being the announcer and friends with a lot of the guys that you beat, I've heard of the different ways that you've cheated. But the funny thing is, most of the time you pass tech still.
I have. I had my valve strings checked earlier this year at Eagle Raceway, and the funny thing is the people that were complaining about me actually got disqualified and at the end of the year for it.
Yeah.
So they didn't quite duplicate what you were doing, right?
No, they...
Because they got caught.
They didn't duplicate it right.
Yeah, mine passed, and they got caught, and their car got confiscated for the weekend. It's like, well, karma gets you.
And there's kind of a gray area when it comes to the rule book. And not
there's
necessarily to say the
There's
gray
no gray
area
no gray spot.
is illegal or legal. It's just kind of an area that you've got to experiment in order to find that advantage. Sometimes they find that you're outside of the parameters of the rule book, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're cheating.
No, exactly. I take the rule book, I read through it multiple times, and I find them gray areas, and then I want to proceed on them gray areas until they make a rule for me.
Right.
If you ask Super Dave or Dave Brin from IMCA, I think there's a couple rules out there that they made.
They're the Anthony Roth rule.
They're the Anthony Roth rule, yeah. He has a lot of stuff of mine hanging on his wall.
Every good racer's got one or two
Do you
rules.
get really frustrated when that happens, or do you take it as a sense of pride?
At first, I get frustrated and I argue with him. I'm like, it's not a rule, Dave. Like, where are you coming up with this? And he says at the end, in fine print, it doesn't matter what you have in the car or what the rule states, I get the final say.
Yeah.
Right.
And there can also be rules that are invented to simply bring the competition back to the rest of the field. When you have found something that is so much faster than everybody else, maybe it works for you, and it makes the race not that interesting to watch. Do you believe it's IMCA's responsibility to bring that back so that you're more competitive with everybody else?
I don't think so. I think it's an advantage for the driver. The driver went out and did his research and did his homework and found that extra edge that nobody else has gone out and did. And you can ask anybody. You can ask my dad, my girlfriend, my brother, anybody that I spend night and day in my shop, and I don't leave until I can find more speed in that car.
It's amazing how busy you can be during race season, and then it seems like in the snap of a finger, it all comes to a stop. Like there's not a gradual decline. It just happens.
Yeah, you're right.
All of a sudden, within a 2-week window, all the point seasons are over with. And now we're getting 18 inches of rain and flooding's coming back, and it's no different than it was in March.
But wait till we get to November, then it's really going to come to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
But for guys like Anthony, they're going to be back in the shop working on 2020.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, I already got my 2020 car out. We've been testing it. We've been running it. We've been doing good with it. And then it just never really ends for me. You know, I'll take a couple nights off here or there and not work as late. But I'm always doing my homework. I'm always in the shop, tweaking, overthinking. And then we got like the PRI show coming up, and we're going to go there and check out the new and latest technology out there.
So let's touch on that subject just a little bit. You guys manufacture the Razor chassis.
Correct.
How much of your own R&D filters its way back into becoming customer cars, and where does that end somewhere along the line? I mean, obviously, you guys always trying to improve your product, you know, for your customers for the next year. But at what point do you hold just a little bit back?
We really don't, you know. That's why I have like the same color car, same body scheme all the time, so nobody knows what we have going on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times I'm trying something or we're running something different.
The cars look the same from the outside.
Yep, and so nobody can tell what we got going on.
Yeah.
So it's
Drill
nice.
a 4-bar hole an eighth of an inch different. I mean, there's so much stuff you can do.
Oh yeah, grind something here, weld something on here. I don't have a problem welding on a brand new car. I know a lot of people cringe at that. It's like, but when you drive for Razor and you're part of the Razor company, you got to do these things that not everybody can do.
But you talk to your dad and talk to your grandfather, a guy by the name of Ed Sanger, over in Iowa for years and years, one of the leading Midwestern chassis builders. He was always racing this year what he sold next year,
For
and
the
next year he's going to be. He was always 1 year. What he was racing personally was always 1 year ahead of what he was selling to the customers.
And that's how it goes. And sometimes, you know, I'll struggle a couple weeks here or there. It's like, I wonder what, and a lot of people are like, what's going on with him? Well, it's not what's going on with me. It's what are we doing and what's going on with our cars. So
we tried something and it didn't work.
Yep.
Well, and it's always amazing to me, like you could take a winning chassis or a winning car. I could sit down in your car and finish 18th in the B. I mean, it inevitably comes down to the driver. How much of that influence do you have on the actual driver? Scott Bloomquist came on the show and said he's incredibly picky about the people that purchase his chassis from him because he knows that if some Jerry out of Minnesota purchases his car and finishes whatever, it's going to look bad on his reputation. He can't affect what the driver is going to do with his chassis.
Correct. You know, and that's a tough deal to deal with too. You know, that's why a lot of people are like, "Oh, your chassis are so expensive." No, they're not expensive. They're at the higher end of the price range, but we don't want some Joe Blow off the street buying our car and going out and making us look bad. You know, we help each and every customer, and we like to bring their cars and scale them for them and help them out and get going. But we don't want them to go out there and look bad and make us look bad.
And that's how you've gotten to where you're at in the spectrum.
Correct. Yeah.
I think the best one we had that we talked to was Ron Hornaday.
Yeah.
When he was talking about it, you know, he goes, I sold whatever amount, you know, it was a small amount of chassis, maybe a dozen, 10 or 12.
Oh, are you talking about Ron Hornaday's Dirt Modified?
Yeah.
He's actually come over at the PRI show and looked at our car and took pictures of our car and talked with my dad.
Yeah.
And we've had contact with Ron Hornaday.
Well, he was down at the, was it Lucas Oil he was at? Silver Dollar?
Silver Dollar.
Yeah, he was down there because I talked to him. I just couldn't remember which race it was. But when he talked to us, he said, you know, he'll sell 2 chassis, and these guys are racing against each other, and the guy will go over and look at the other car because it was faster, and he says, well, you told him to put, you know, a 600-pound spring in the right front. You told me to put a 700-pound spring in the right front. You told me to do this. And Ron says, I got to look at the guy and go, well, you weigh 300 pounds, and he weighs 150. Of course you're going to have a different setup than he's got.
Yeah, that's just it. It comes back to setup, too. You know, we have a base setup that's out of our book. And we send everybody out with that, and they got to adjust the car to what they feel, too.
Exactly.
It's not, I'm not at the track with them. I'm not racing them. I'm not that person, you know. Everybody drives different. So what I have on my car might be a little bit off the base setup, but that's what I like.
A little looser, a little tighter, whatever it happens to be.
And that's the other thing is not only the driver dimensions is what we'll call it.
Dimensions.
Because the driver dimensions could change vastly from one person to another, but the driving style, the way you enter the corner determines the way you want your left front shock to react.
Oh, that's just it, you know.
React.
I drive really straight, and so going from all the other tracks I race at to Eagle, it's hard to adjust because Eagle's so sideways. You got to be so sideways, and the car's you got to throw the car in. And a lot of the times I'm tight because I drive my car in straight all the time, like I do at Beatrice and Columbus and Lexington.
But that will really help you when you're running the bottom, because if you keep the car straight when you're on the gas coming off the bottom at Eagle.
And it shoots off.
Yeah,
there.
you bet.
Yep, you rockets off. Corner.
Yeah, and that's we get the opportunity to see you race on a pretty big variety of type of racetracks. You know, the difference between, say, I-80 and Eagle.
Which is nice for a chassis company like us, too. I get a race at, like, Columbus where it's burnt black, slick, and hot laps, and then you go to Eagle where there's some mud, and then you go to Lexington where it's big, sweeping corners.
Yep.
And, you know, we race 4 different tracks a week, and they're all different. There's not one that's even close.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. You know, for me, for the thing I've learned in anything I've done in life is that if I want to be good at anything, I can't do it once a week, twice a week. even 3 times a week. You just said it. You race 4 times a week. You're racing 4 times more than most drivers out there that are complaining about the reason why they finished outside the top 10. To get good at anything, or to at least be decent at anything, you got to do it at least more than twice a week.
That's just it, you know. A lot of our customers will race one night a week, and they're like, we just can't get our car figured out. It's like, go race that 3-4 nights a week like us, and it's seat time. Everything's seat time. And even Chris Abelson, you know, he's told me that when I was first started racing. He's like, you just got to go race that car and get used to it and figure it out.
And that's an easy thing for me to sit here and say as a guy who does it on a race car. It's expensive to add 1 more night a week, 2 more nights a week, 3 more nights a week. To go race 4 times a week, I can only imagine what that costs you in weekly fees.
It's a big commitment.
It is. It's a big commitment, and it does add up. Over the years, I've gotten a lot smarter, and I've driven a lot smarter. If the gap's not there, I'm not going to take it that lap. I've got a car that's fast enough to win every night. So I'm patient. I've learned to be patient, and I don't tear my car up as much. So then I can continue to race throughout the weekend.
What is the smartest thing you've done as a race operation to save yourself money on a race-to-race basis?
Just being patient, you know. I've gotten to where I am. My car's fast. I know it's fast when I unload it from the trailer, so I just tell myself to be patient. And, you know, you're not going to win every night. Nobody's going to win every single night, but you can at least compete. And if you keep your front tires on that car, you will make it to the front.
How many wins did you have this year?
Unfortunately, I only had 11, but I had 15 seconds.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah.
So that's 26 top 2s, not too shabby.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
And a lot of them were to George Grabowski. So,
What's your plans for 2020?
you know, we haven't really looked that far into the 2020 yet.
You got to go sprint car racing?
No, my little brother wants to. I'm not going
Trent
to.
does?
Yeah, Trent does.
He didn't race much this year.
No, he hasn't.
What's he been doing?
He's in college. He's actually going to be an orthodontist, so he has 1 more year here.
Oh, so he's going to be rich someday.
Yeah, he's going to support me, I'm hoping. I'm hoping that once he gets done with college, I can put him on the side of the truck and trailer, and we're just going to go race full time.
Yeah. So he wants to go be an orthodontist, but now he kind of thinking about doing a little bit of sprint car racing?
He would like to. If he ever got the opportunity or the ride or the right thing to do it, he would do it, yeah.
Who's the faster or better driver between you and your brother?
You
knew that one was coming.
I knew it was coming. You know, I'll give him credit. If he raced as much as I did, I think we'd be neck and neck. I set his cars up for him. I give him all my information I get throughout the year. And it's tough for him because he doesn't race as much as me. And he gets frustrated because he hasn't beat me that often in the last couple of years. But that's because he hasn't raced. You know, it comes back to that seat time and driving. But I give him all my setup, all my information. And I do that to any razor guy, you know. I'll give him all my information. I'm not hiding anything. It just he needs more seat time, and my car's a lot tighter than what he likes to drive just because he hasn't been in it.
There's a couple brothers by the name of Selzy that kind of have the same question asked a lot, you know, that race sprint cars. And Dominic, you know, he will say, you know, yeah, I'm doing pretty good, but wait till you see my little brother.
Right, and I give my brother credit. You know, he's not a slacker. He can drive a car, too. He can wheel it.
So
2020. Go ahead, Eric.
So I was going to say, somebody else in the family with a lot of seat time. How about you and Travis?
You know, he got it modified a couple years ago at Columbus. He got in my backup car, and he stayed right up in there. And I think we started 3rd and 4th, and I was taking the lead, and he was running Kyle Burke down, and Kyle was in 2nd. So my dad was trying to pass him for 2nd. So he can still wheel a car, too. You can't count him out. He just doesn't have the time right now.
Yeah, you know, and back in the day, Reggie turned a pretty good wheel, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
now,
it just runs in the family.
I shouldn't say that because I'm aging myself again.
Nah, you're seasoning yourself. 2020 comes around. Trent's beat you 4 races in a row now. Does that flow of information slow down?
No.
No.
It doesn't.
Yeah. No, it probably
Even
goes into
as your brother.
Probably goes into the stealing mode.
And you and you're having a tough time beating him. You don't slow down the information you're giving him.
Nope, I'll still give it to him because I know I'll come around and I'll find something that he can't drive with or can't get a hold of, and I'll get by him.
And then it'll be that much sweeter when you do beat him.
Exactly.
Pie in the Sky Racing, what do you want to do as your top echelon of racing?
I want to win a national title.
You've never won a national title?
Nope. Jordan Grabowski's won it 4 times now, and I know I've talked about him a lot, but I race against him each and every week, and I'm out there to beat him. I want to beat him, and he's one of the top modified guys in the nation right now.
That's a pretty good benchmark.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And I just want to win it one time, and like my girlfriend says, if you win it one time, I know you're going to go win it more. So
It is. The toughest time is that first time.
get the monkey off your back.
Yeah. So that would be, but would you go late model racing? Would you want to ever go truck series?
I like to do that late model racing. With owning a modified company, it's tough, or not owning one, but driving for one, it's tough to just switch over to late model, but I would love to go drive a late model.
There's
That's
big
where
money
we
in
started.
late model chassis.
You know, that's where my grandpa started. That's where my dad started. I would just like to go do it. Even if I got 1 or 2 opportunities to do it to see what it was all about. I drove a stock car for the first time this year. I got a race at 5 nights, and I got 2 seconds, a third, and a fourth.
Yeah.
And I hopped in a car I've never driven. I didn't know what it was all about. I changed stuff each and every week, and then they sold it on me. Unfortunately, I was about to beat Jordan the next week with.
So maybe Razor might be branching out into stock cars.
There's a lot of people that keep asking us when we're going to do it, and we just keep saying it's not in the future.
Is your memory as tight with everything in life as it is with where you finished?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I've always envied that about people that have good memory. I've got way too many things on my mind, and I've got a bad memory.
I can remember more of the second and third place finishes than I do the wins
Yeah.
because you're frustrated yourself of what you could have done different or changed to make yourself that extra spot.
Makes you think about them.
Exactly.
When we would interview some of the legends we interviewed, I mean, we'd interview Buck Simmons, and he's talking about a late model race in 1972.
Yeah.
You know? And I did this on the third turn of the fourth lap, and, man, it cost me the rest of the race.
Right.
Yeah, that was like last year. I pissed away $5,000.
You said you weren't going to cuss in this interview.
Yeah,
Oh, there
you're
goes
right,
that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, I know.
There goes
Last
the
year down in
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Hard Texas
Anyways.
Speedway, I lost $5,000. 10 laps to go, I hit a big hole, and Jason Wallach got by me.
Yeah.
And the year before I won it, I won that $4,000 race down there. So it's just, them are the things you just don't forget, ever.
What is the biggest race in all of racing that you want to win? Whether it be the Daytona 500 or
Pikes
the
Peak.
Indy 500, or maybe it's the late model nationals over at Knoxville, or the sprint car nationals over at Knoxville for $100,000 to win.
I would like to win Super Nationals.
At Boone.
At Boone.
You were
Really?
reading-
Being a
I was reading
modified
your
driver,
mind.
Being a modified driver, I like to win the Super Nationals at Boone, and then I like to win Batesville, and then there's a big race up in 141 during a week. I like to win that.
That's interesting to me that it's the Boone Super National, because that's obviously a prestige race.
Right.
Yeah, very.
That's
It
a
ain't
race
a money
that
race.
so many people want to race, but you don't win a lot of money for that, and you don't get a lot. I mean,
No,
you get
there's
some
no
good
money made
contingency.
there. There's no money made there. It's just prestige
Yeah.
to get your name out there.
Yeah.
To make people look at you.
All right, Anthony Roth, driver of the 60 IV. You'll see him back in the modifieds next year, causing havoc
That the
against
60
some of the
the
best.
fourth you're talking about?
God,
The
did I
60
say
IV.
it?
He
did I
did.
seriously say it? And I said it for a third time. 60 the fourth.
Before we let him go, though, he's got to tell us about some of his
Yes.
helpers.
Make sure to thank the sponsors that help you get up and down the road.
Yeah, you know.
All three of them.
All three of them. There's a few more than just three of them. You know, I got to give a big special thanks to Razor Chassis out there. Without them, I couldn't get the fast chassis I have. And Shell Valley Classic Wheels, sister company to them. Then we got to thank Speedway Crate Engines, AFCO, Outpace, Jervis Motorsports, Suba Construction, BSB Manufacturing, Fast Shafts, Superior Fuel Cells, KSC Manufacturing, Wild West Barbecue and Catering out of Columbus, Roth Racing, Performance, Willwood, Arrow, Schoenfield, and everybody else that helps us out on the car each and every week. Can't forget about CNC Repair. They get this maintenance done on the truck and trailer when we need it, and then Total Eclipse Salon for giving free haircuts.
There you go.
Then I got people to thank. I got to thank my dad, my sister, my brother, Michelle, Peyton, my mom, and all the guys back at the shop, Dana, Jason, Lance, and then most and foremost, my girlfriend, Marissa.
Yeah, there you go. Most and foremost.
I was waiting for that. I was sweating there
There's
for a
no
minute.
way I
Stan was
could
holding
forget
his
that.
breath. He was
she
getting
puts
a
up
little
with
pale.
a lot, so I got to give her credit.
Isn't it amazing what these girls put up with?
A lot, yeah.
I mean, it really is like every off season I go back and appreciate what my girlfriend does for me, because I'm just the announcer at the racetrack.
Right, and then like me, I got to give back to her. It's like she put up with me for a
Oh.
lot of the months, and I'll give her a couple months, and then we're back at it. And her birthday actually falls on February 15th, and she's like, "Hey, yeah, let's go do this." I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna be in Arizona racing."
Yeah.
So maybe we can take a couple extra days and we'll vacation out
See,
there.
and that's the funny thing about you and me. I was thinking February 15th, that's the day after Valentine's Day.
Oh, no, we're racing.
You're thinking, no, that's race day.
Yeah, we're racing that day, so maybe I can just win for it.
My girlfriend at the end of every year is like, hey, I hear
Taking you
360
to Arizona
Steakhouse.
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that's right. That's your gift. Get used to it. That's your gift. Was she into racing before this?
Yeah, we actually met at the racetrack.
Yeah.
It happened July 4th. I was actually racing stock car at Columbus.
Fireworks.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I actually
Okay.
was redraw on the front stretch, and she's seen me signing my Frisbee. And
Was
throwing
she
it
a
in the
fan?
crowd.
Was she a fan?
She was a fan.
Okay. All right, back on track. Anthony, I do appreciate. Always love having you on the show.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
You've got plans for continuing the modified through 2020 and winning much more races than Jordan Grabowski.
Yep, that's the plan. You know, we're going to go out kicking and screaming and doing the best we can do.
All right. Don't forget, Razor Chassis is always available. What's a way to get a hold of you if they want to raise their chassis?
You know, you can message the Facebook page. Give us a call at 402-246-2021, and ask for Travis or Lance. Or any other way, get a hold of me, get a hold of anybody, you know. We're out there.
All right, man. Appreciate having you on the show. Thanks a lot for coming out to Quaker Steak and Lube. We appreciate it, bud.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a safe trip back to Columbus.
Thank
We're
you,
going to
guys.
take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
We all have that coworker that runs their mouth off at how great they are. They shot a 5 under par, 95-mile-an-hour fastball, bench press 375, brah. Wouldn't you love to shut them up by schooling them at Joe's Karting? Council Bluffs' premier indoor karting track, professionally designed so each corner is your opportunity to embarrass your coworker. Call Buddy for your next company outing at 712-256-5278. Joe's Karting, white knuckle racing just across the river on 23rd Avenue next to AMC 17.
Your daughter's signing the finish line. She's in. Your grandpa air guitaring the pre-race concert. He's in. Soldiers saluting the flyover. They're all in. Fans holding their breath before a wreck. In. Drivers trash talking on your headset after the wreck. Definitely in. The Hollywood Casino 400 NASCAR playoff race at Kansas Speedway. Sunday, October 20th. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole of the front stretch and the home of MAV TV, featuring action from the Lucas Oil Late Model Series.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Located on Mid-America Drive in Council Bluffs.
Feather the brake and get back to the gas. Dan and Dirk are headed into turn 3 on the front stretch.
Welcome back into the front stretch. Rolling into turn number 3, brought to you by Kansas Speedway, presenting the Hollywood Casino 400 in just a few days away. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, call and talk to a person in person live. You can talk to somebody live, 866-460-RACE, or go online, pick your seat. You can also see your view. Great views at Kansas Speedway. You can see the entire track. KansasSpeedway.com. Tickets for the 3-day event or the single race tickets for the Hollywood Casino 400 are available now. KansasSpeedway.com or by calling 866-460-RACE. Joining us on the show now, driver of the number 88 Nationwide Amazon Echo Auto Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Hendrick Motorsports, Alex Bowman. Man, I've got a script in front of me and I had a tough time. I give you guys a lot of credit for being able to rattle that stuff off when you're doing interviews.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that and not me. So you got it out of the way. But no, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, it's going to be exciting to have you on the show, and it's always fun to watch you at Kansas Speedway. Jumping back to the earlier May race, fell one spot too short from picking up the race win, but a good race for you. Qualified well, raced well all day, finished high in stage 2, and then picked up the runner-up finish.
Yeah, you know that was a great day for us. Obviously, feel like we kind of gave it away there at the end, but our mile-and-a-half program has been really strong all year. So excited to get back to Kansas, especially after winning Chicago and having a lot of success at similar racetracks throughout the year. So it'll be fun. I think it's a great racetrack for us. We need to go get a win and hopefully transfer on to the round of 8.
Yeah, it's a stressful round for a lot of these the drivers, especially the 12 that are still in, because obviously today we're heading to Talladega, which is huge wild card. You're sitting 7th in the points, one position above the cut line, so you're secure, but we're going to Talladega.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, nobody's really comfortable going to Talladega. It's just such a wild card. It's so easy to get caught up in somebody else's mess. So hopefully we'll avoid all of that and have a good day, get good stage points, and still have a good buffer in the points or a win at the end of the day. So it's definitely a stressful part of the year, but that's why we do this. It's a lot of fun, and to still have a chance at a championship is always really cool.
Yeah, it is a privilege to be a part of that, and such a tough thing to do. I mean, you talk about how we've got 26 races to qualify for the playoffs, and yet before you know it, we're halfway through the season, halfway through the regular season. We're 3/4 of the way through the regular season. And you're like, oh no, it was go time a few races ago.
Yeah, I think our biggest issue all year has just been consistency. We got really hot there right around the Kansas race and worked our way pretty far up there in points, and then went and won Chicago and kind of locked in and really struggled after that. And before we knew it, the playoffs were here, and we really needed to step it up and hadn't been running how we needed to run going into the playoffs. But fortunately enough, we were able to have some really good runs since the playoffs have started, and hopefully we'll continue in that direction.
Coming back to talking about Kansas Speedway, which you're getting ready for the Hollywood Casino 400, like I talked about, finished second during the May race, which the May race was obviously a night race, but then it was also with the new aero package. Last time we were here in the fall of 18, you started 10th and were able to finish 9th. Not a bad top 10 finish, but that's not the kind of finishes you guys want when you're in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. This new package has really changed things up. I feel like the night race at Kansas is probably the best showcase for this package that we have anywhere we go. The day race will probably be a little bit more single file and spread out than the night race was, just based on the lower grip levels of a daytime race. But really looking forward to it. They did a really good job when they repaved Kansas. For whatever reason, the asphalt that they used or the style of paving that they used, it's really widened out quickly. A lot of the other repaves we go to are really one groove and hard to move around. In Kansas, you can run literally anywhere on the racetrack and make speed. So that always makes it a lot of fun as a driver. You can move around and find an area that your race car is working really well, and it's always a great race. So really looking forward to getting back there.
Are you expecting a huge change from the May race to the coming October race? Obviously, the temperatures are going to be different. You're going to be out during the daytime. There could be wind. I mean, are you expecting a huge change or just a slight change?
Probably just a slight change. I feel like everybody's cars have probably improved since then. Everything's changed a little bit. So just we'll have to wait and see when we get there. But I feel like it'll be similar, just a little different. Hopefully the biggest difference is we're in Victory Lane at the end of the night.
Absolutely. Make that one spot better so we can see you down in Victory Lane and you can punch your ticket to the next round.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the plan. Like I said, I really felt like I gave that one away earlier this year, so got to get a little redemption next time.
All right, man. We look forward to seeing it. Best of luck to you today at Talladega. We hope to see you there in Victory Lane, and why not? Let's just double down. 2 races in a row, you're going to pick up the win, and we're going to move on to the round of 8.
I'll take it. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Alex Bowman, driver the number 88 Nationwide Amazon Echo Auto Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 for Hendrick Motorsports. It's been a great talking to you. Hope we can run into you down at Kansas. Say hi real quick and get to meet in person. But best of luck down there at the Hollywood Casino 400.
Thanks. Have a good one.
So once again, that was Alex Bowman joining us for another Red Oak Fabrication interview. It's chilly weather. If you're headed down to the Hollywood Casino 400, swing through Red Oak, Iowa. I know it's a little bit off the beaten path when you're heading down to Kansas from the Omaha area, but it's well worth your drive. They've got great specials on Carhartt gear. You can look great while staying warm at the racetrack. Make sure you take advantage of all of their specials going on in October. And it's not just men's attire and men's working gear. There is some really fashionable jeans and work shirts for guys, but also the ladies too. You can look great while sitting next to your guy at the racetrack or while he's sitting next to you at maybe Vala's Pumpkin Patch, and the youngsters too, the little kids. They've got great kids apparel available at Red Oak Fabrication. There's the main fabrication shop that is on the corner of Highway 34 and 48. You go into Red Oak, and their Carhartt store is located right in the heart of Red Oak. Make sure you go to redoakfabrication.com/Carhartt. We're going to take a break. We'll be back on the front stretch.
As summer winds wind down, those chilly nights at the racetrack are just around the turn. Stay warm while looking good, cheering on your favorite driver with Carhartt from Red Oak Fabrication. Since 1889, Carhartt has proven their mettle from the trenches of World War I to the toughest job sites today. Browse the large selection at the Red Oak Fabrications Carhartt store and get $5 off pants until September 29th. RedOakFabrication.com/Carhartt or at the corner of North 3rd and East Grimes in Red Oak.
Defending NASCAR champ Joey Logano is in. Last year's race winner Chase Elliott is in. Pit crews racing against the clock in. Drivers in the lead, drivers on the bubble, and drivers that come out of nowhere definitely in. Oh, and sports fans who live for the playoffs, they're all in. The Hollywood Casino 400 playoff elimination race at Kansas Speedway, Sunday, October 20th. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
Every race car driver has run into the same problem. It's well past normal parts store closing hours, but you need that one to finish your car. The guys who brought you White Knuckle Racing by the River bring you Joe's Karting Racing Parts and Tire Store. Open until 10 p.m. Monday to Thursday and open until 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday. A parts store that fits your after-hours schedule, and you can turn a few laps at Joe's Karting while you're waiting for your part to get pulled from their warehouse. joeskarting.com for more information.
It's checkers or wreckers as we enter turn 4 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs.
Welcome back to the front stretch. Just about ready to wrap this baby up, but before we do, it's time to talk to a current NASCAR champion. We're talking to the driver of the number 2 at Richard Childress Racing, Tyler Reddick. Fresh off of his 2018, well, not fresh off, we're about to wrap up another season, off the 2018 Series Championship with JR Motorsports, Junior Motorsports. But first off, Tyler, congratulations on the big news earlier last week that you're going to be moving up into the Cup Series to drive the number 8 for Richard Childress Racing.
Yeah, thank you very much. Obviously, it's really exciting to finally have the opportunity to break into the Cup Series full time. But obviously, as you stated, got a lot left on the plate this year, and the main goal is going to be win that Xfinity Series championship for a second time.
I was looking back at everything that had happened over the last year and a half for you, and one thing that popped up, I'm sure you've been asked about it a lot, was couldn't have been an easy decision to leave a championship caliber team to come over to a team that you'd beaten for that championship.
Yeah, it was a difficult decision, but as it turned out being, it ended up being the right decision. Ever since day one, it's just been a really good fit over there at RCR. Had a lot of fun racing with everyone at Junior Motorsports, but we've just performed at a really good level this year, winning the regular season championship and winning 5 races. So obviously we want to do better than that, and that's what we're going to strive to do here in the closing races of this season, and hopefully we can add the championship to that list of things we accomplished this year.
Yeah, that could be a make-or-break decision for you, and it has yet to be, that full book has yet to be written, but you're looking pretty smart right now with your big goal was to move over to RCR to have a better opportunity to get up in a Cup Series. That came to fruition a couple of weeks back, and to continue to be a competitive car, which you have done this year, picking up, like you mentioned, 5 wins over the just 2 last year to win the championship.
Yeah, it's just been an awesome year. I mean, we've just been able to go out and perform really well and lead more laps than we did last year, be a lot more consistent more than anything, and that's just put us in the hunt at the end of these races to close out and win.
You finished 9th in the Cup race at Kansas earlier this year during the spring race for RCR in the 31 car. Talk a little bit more about that race and how maybe the car is going to react different versus the nighttime versus we're going to come to it this coming Sunday for the daytime.
I mean, it's going to be completely different, obviously, with a lot less downforce, a little bit more horsepower, too. The cars just drive completely different. So with that being said, the good run we had at Kansas, not a lot from that can really translate to an Xfinity car as you were hinting to in a different time of day and a different time of the year. So, for me, it just kind of goes back to my experience that I've had here at this track, whether that's Truck Series or this being my 3rd Xfinity start. We've been really fast here, but running the complete race has been a struggle of mine in the past, and I just got to do a better job of that this time around and just be smart, keep our car in good shape, and beat her at the end of this race to win this thing, hopefully, and lock ourselves in home.
Maybe it's just because Kansas is just down the road for me, so I pay attention to it a little bit more. But, it gets the connotation of being a cookie-cutter track because it's a 1.5 miles, but it seems to be like it is a very tricky 1.5 miles track.
It really is, just because you have to constantly be adjusting your line for not only the degradation in the tire and how much rubber is going down on the racetrack, but also because of just trying trying to find more speed on the racetrack as your car will change. So it's what makes it a lot of fun. The cars around you, as they will take your lane away, is another thing that plays into that. So you just have to constantly keep on your toes and move around. But that's what makes this place fun.
And make it into kind of layman's terms for somebody that's never been behind the wheel. You're talking about moving your lane around to keep finding that. You're talking on a lap-by-lap basis, not necessarily every 10 or 15 laps you need to move a little bit here. It's a pretty quick change.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, you have to move your line a lot. I would say from pretty much lap 10 on to really get the most out of your car. And historically, that means moving up higher and making your straightaways longer. But as these cars and this tire has gotten a little bit harder from last year to this year, it's more maybe about keeping your car in cleaner air and keeping it from getting overworked harder than anything. But with that being said, you got to run where they don't. If they're running the bottom, you got to run up. If they're running up, you got to run a lane down and try and disrupt their car a little bit to get past them. So that's what makes it fun about this place. Is you have a lot of options when you get to the corners. And this place is so much a momentum racetrack that it really opens up a lot of opportunities to move around.
You've been to the racetrack quite a few times. You did talk about that, and I would assume that you have made your way outside of the racetrack and you've found some of that great Kansas City barbecue.
Actually, funny story. We're actually not eating Kansas City barbecue. We're eating at a noodle Asian cuisine place outside the racetrack in a strip mall. So we're just trying that out right now.
All right. Well, next time, insist that you're going to a Kansas City barbecue joint.
Well, this was my idea. I hate to say it. So,
Tyler, man.
So far.
Come on, brother. I mean, I know you're from California, so that we're going to give you a pass on wanting to. Yeah, you want to go to the Asian places, but you're in the Midwest. We don't have a lot of Asian cuisine here, but maybe it's good.
I'm not going to lie. It's pretty good so far.
Is
I
it?
really like it so far.
All right. Yeah. Well, I could tell you were in Kansas because there's a lot of wind feedback on the microphone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I kid you not, I'm walking around this little pillar here trying to duck out of the wind as it continues to change direction. Yeah. It's not working the greatest. So you have that, though.
Just like in your car.
I'm here.
Yeah, you got to find another line to get away from the wind.
Pretty much, as I was talking about changing lines, I'm walking around this pillar, trying to get out of the way of the wind. I'm not doing a good job of it.
It's okay. We'll work with it. Don't worry about it. Talking about making your way up into the Cup Series full-time next year, NASCAR announced earlier this week that they were beginning to test the next generation car that's set to hit the track on 2021. Are you worried at all that running what's going to be only a year on that one chassis and that one type of car is going to maybe develop some bad habits?
No, not at all. I'm always up for the challenge of cars changing and things being different. I think the less, when this car does roll out in 2021, it's going to be good for me. It's going to basically be different to a degree where all these Cup drivers that are very talented are basically starting at ground zero again in some respect. And hopefully that's what it is. And if we're all starting from ground zero, experience does matter. A lot of the veterans of the sport still understand how a car drives. But on going from a 15-inch wheel to an 18-inch wheel and all these things that you hear about that are rumored, it's pretty much like start from scratch. And they'll be good for me coming in. So, having 1 year in the Cup Series and we never know what next year will hold, but if I am running full time come 2021, it'll be good for me. I'd say I'll get a year getting used to this car, and then we'll be on my toes again, adjusting to another car. So from this year Xfinity, a little bit less downforce, the higher downforce 2020 car, to then the new car that they has proposed in 2021. Keep me on my toes and driving different cars, which is good for a driver.
Well, you seem to have adapted very well. Again, we talked about 5 wins this year, so I suspect probably 5 wins in 2022?
I hope so. Hopefully more than that.
Yeah, maybe not that few.
I like to win. I've gotten used to it this year. I haven't won like this in a long time in my racing career, back when I was younger racing go-karts. I like it, and I don't want it to change. It's hard work, and you obviously got to have some things go your way too, but I enjoy it, and I want to keep it rolling, so I'm just going to have to work really hard to keep that up.
We've been talking with the reigning Xfinity Series champion, Tyler Reddick, driver the number 2 at Richard Childress Racing for the Xfinity Series. Talk about some of the sponsors that are going to be on the side of your car, helping you guys get up and down the road.
Yeah, we got a lot of great people that have helped us throughout this year. Everyone at ECR has given us great power throughout the year underneath the hood of our Chevy Camaros. But Team of Beast's done a great job for us. Alsco, Twisted Tea, Pinnacle Financial Partners, Hurdle. There's a lot of people that have put a lot into this and made it happen. Most recently, recently had Freightliner on board. We've had Anderson's Maple Syrup, Nationwide Children's Hospital. We've had a lot of different partners throughout the year. We've had Roland. We've had Emerson Copeland at the Roval. We've had a lot of good people. We've had Gimme Radio do some great, cool little partnerships with Megadeth on the car, and then Killswitch Engage, and then with that being said, Gimme Country on the car at Daytona. So we've had a lot of really cool partners, and it's been a lot of fun to mix it up throughout the year with different people and doing different things.
Tyler Reddick, do appreciate your time, man. Have fun while you're touring into Kansas. Before you get here is competition weekend. I know you guys don't get much time away to have fun, so you kind of sneak in ahead of time, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got to try and get in and get advantage and scope out some of the good Asian places as it's well known for around here in Kansas.
All right, man. We're going to try to swing by and say hi to you when we're down there this weekend for the races. Appreciate your time. Best of luck, and hope to see you in Victory Lane.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Once again, that was Tyler Reddick, current reigning champion for the Xfinity Series, driving the number 2 at Richard Childress Racing. If you missed any part of that interview, we're going to upload it onto YouTube at the end of the show. So at about 9:15, it'll be available for you. You can find it on the Front Stretch Facebook page. We always share a link to it, or you can follow Joe's Karting on YouTube, and we will. You'll get the link there also. Want to say a big thank you to Quaker Steak and Lube for sponsoring turn number 4. Catch all of today's action at Talladega Super Speedway at Quaker Steak and Lube on the big screens, as well as all the football action. Coverage for Talladega is on NBC and MRN starting at 1 o'clock. All the picks are due by 1 o'clock today. Make sure you get your picks in on time. Say a big thank you to Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the Front Stretch, for presenting turn number 4 and for also letting us come down on Tuesday nights and doing the recording sessions. Had a good time at the I-80 Speedway recording session earlier this week. We're going to be coming back on Tuesday night for the Adams County Speedway recording session. We're going to invite all the track champions. Once we get the number confirmed for the track champions coming in, we'll be able to invite a couple of the other regular drivers that make their way around Adams County Speedway and just have a nice conversation. We'll play those interviews back in the coming weeks and throughout the off season. Thanks everybody for tuning in to us. Once again, make sure your picks are in on time for Talladega today. Second contest got kicked off earlier this week. It's the Quaker Steak and Lube $100 gift card. Winner gets a $100 gift card to Quaker Steak and Lube in Council Bluffs. You can get more information on that by emailing us frontstretchradio@gmail.com. We're going to do it again next weekend, as we will be live from Kansas Speedway to recap the action so far on a Friday and Saturday night, and then we will get you set for Sunday's Hollywood Casino 400 at Kansas Speedway. Don't forget, tickets are still available. Call 866-460-RACE or go to kansasspeedway.com. For Rick Houston, I'm Dan Taylor. This has been the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590.
Defending NASCAR champ Joey Logano is in. Last year's race winner Chase Elliott is in. Pit crews racing against the clock in. Drivers in the lead, drivers on the bubble, and drivers that come out of nowhere definitely in. Oh, and sports fans who live for the playoffs, they're all in. The Hollywood Casino 400 playoff elimination race at Kansas Speedway, Sunday, October 20th. Tickets at kansasspeedway.com. You in?
The official watering hole of the Front Stretch has you covered any day of the week with the best wings, great burgers, and amazing steaks. Each weekday from 4 to 6 is happy hour, featuring $1 off draft and well drinks plus $4 Luberitas. Mondays are kids' night. Tuesdays are all-you-can-eat wings for $12.95, and the lube even delivers to the Council Bluffs area. Like Quaker Steak and Lube Council Bluffs on Facebook for a full list of weekly events.
Get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Mid-America Drive, Council Bluffs.
Hey, look at that. You're sitting on your couch playing Halo, Madden, or NASCAR while your friends are at Joe's Karting. Each lap is an adrenaline-filled, heart-pumping, white-knuckle experience that you can only get at the Metro's largest indoor karting track. Eco-friendly Honda engines rip you around their professionally designed road course at breakneck speeds. Can you reach the 14-second lap bracket? There's only one way to find out. Put the controller down and get to Joe's Karting, 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs next to Quaker Steak and Lube.
This has been the Front Stretch Radio Show, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. To contact Dan or Dirk, find them on Facebook at The Front Stretch or email them at frontstretch590@gmail.com. If you missed any part of today's show or want to hear a previous show, subscribe to the Joe's Karting YouTube page, where you can find almost every Front Stretch show.